right, well, welcome to Behind the Grind. Today, I'm so excited about today. I know we are in these unprecedented times that many people are defining it as or describing it as, but I don't really like not to say it as unprecedented. I believe it's something that we weren't expected, was a little unprepared for it. But the truth of the matter is, over the last few years, we've been experiencing a lot of disruptions. A lot of things have been going on, disaster after disaster, and somebody in some part of the world, in some shape or form, have experienced some type of crisis, right? But this is the one time that maybe all of us are experiencing at one time. And so today on Behind the Grind, I decided to go back to my hometown. And I wanted to interview a guy, probably Flint's best kept secret is what I would like to describe him as. Somebody who is passionate about finance, passionate about money. Matter of fact, he even has an organization. He'll tell us a little bit about it, but he has an organization that's called Fix My Finance. And what better time to talk to somebody about fixing our finance or dealing with our finances right now in this time. And so I want to introduce to the show and to those may not know him, some may know him. You may be watching to check him out today, but I want to introduce my guy, Slyvester Tyler. Well, welcome to Behind the Grind. How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm thankful to be here. I'm glad you put me on. I'm glad you have hosted me on the show, man. I'm glad to come on here and give a little insight about Fix My Finance.
Man,
I love what I do, man.
I love it. I see you rocking the brand. Of course, you've got the hoodie on.
You know, I got it all day, every day.
What's interesting for me, we met probably about a year or so ago, or started talking about, I don't know, about a year or so ago. But when I see you, you're nice and suited up, got the everything going on. But I see you can go both ways with the nice hoodie too, as well, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, usually that's how I usually am in public, man. I usually got my suit on. I'm about my business. But, I mean, listen, like you said, we're in quarantine right now. And I try to appeal more when I'm doing, when I'm working with the youth.
Yeah.
Get more into that, the style that they are rocking instead of that suit and tie mentality from time to time.
Definitely understand that. As I've mentioned to you, I spent a lot of time in my career. And of course, the 9-to-5 banker job, you're suited up. But of course, like you said, you have a special niche, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But you have a special niche in where you are able to really connect to the youth. And specifically, you're able to connect to all, but specifically to the youth. And as you're describing it, sometimes it's the apparel. You may have to connect, and maybe you have a conversation about that. But let's start off with that. Let's talk. Let's hear a little bit about you, a little bit about your organization, a little bit about what you do.
Okay, yeah. So I started Fix My Finance about 2 years ago. And really with it, I'm be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew, for one, I wanted to own a business, and for two, I wanted to be in the financial industry. I was already in the financial industry, but I wanted to own something in the financial industry. So I started, and I just started doing random stuff within it. I'm like, okay, something gonna work. I'm gonna find my niche somewhere. I started an LLC. So it was actually my bishop at the time. He was like, I think you should do a financial literacy camp. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, a financial literacy camp? I'm like, that's kind of weird. I mean, right. But I think that might work. So we did it for the first year, and I kind of fell in love with it. I always had a passion to give back to the community, and always had a passion to what I learned to just pour it back into my community. So the financial literacy camp, I found a love for it because I did seminars with adults, and they got the information, but it was like, who is this 20-year-old kid trying to tell me about my, and I've been doing this for so long. But when I got to doing it for the students, I saw them absorb the information, and to bring financial literacy to them in a fun way was it just changed my whole perspective on the financial industry as a whole.
Wow. Well, let's go back a little bit. I love the name, Fix My Finance. Like, who came up with that? How did you come up with that? I mean, it's perfect. Like, how did you come up with this idea?
I'm not gonna lie to you. So my mom, she is an advocate, and she owns a brand, Fix My Crown.
Okay.
Not like you, I kind of bit off of her name a little bit, but when I heard Fix My Crown, and something just was like Fix My Finance, and it was like just clicked from there. So shout out to my mom and Fix My Crown, because I for sure bit off of her idea a little bit. name.
You know what? You didn't buy it off. That's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Your mom obviously laid something down for you, a foundation down for you. Sounds like your mom is into. You said she has her own business or has her own brand or so.
Yeah, she's an advocate for domestic violence. She has a lot of different things that she does within it. I don't want to spill too much.
Sure.
She's behind the scenes with it, and she's doing a lot. And I don't know what she has told the public versus what she hasn't, so I don't want to get too into it.
Definitely, but the idea I really wanted to pull out, it sounds like you pulled this a little bit from, something from your mom. Your mom has laid down some type of foundation for you, and like you said, you bit off the name and kind of been a little creative with the Fix My Finance. So let's talk a little bit more about Fix My Finance. Again, I was excited to hear a little bit about your program. You had a boot camp, I believe, or you have several boot camps. Is that what it is for the youth, where you're actually helping them with finance? Let's talk a little bit about that. How does that camp work, and how does that boot camp work? So, am I calling it right? Is it a boot camp or?
So we call it a financial literacy camp. I mean, okay. It's all in the. So right now, currently for the past 2 years, we were using someone else's program, Camp Millionaire. Okay. The program worked great, but for our target demographic, the terminology and the structure of it didn't exactly fit. So for the first 2 years we did use it, and it worked good for the students. They absorbed information. But this year, I actually have 2 co-founders for a new program that we founded, and it's going to be the Grooming Young Millionaires program.
Okay.
So we already received grant dollars for it from 2 different organizations, and Grooming Young Millionaires is going to be targeted to our demographic, which is underrepresented communities. So we're going to target schools like the Flint District schools, Hamley District schools. There's different schools within our community that we feel like could really benefit from this financial literacy and from the knowledge in general.
I love it. And again, going back to my years, I've had probably about close to 20 years in banking. And that's powerful what you're doing, because a lot of times, you have like these financial literacies, and they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. They're awesome, and they provide information. But sometimes that information doesn't go far enough for our, like you said, our demographic. It doesn't touch some of the things that we need to share in our community. So I'm assuming this particular workshop that you're going to have for the youth is going to touch more of the things that they're dealing with, right? Is that what I'm getting out of it?
Yes, it will. So different things that they talk about at home with their parents, the different things that they talk about with their grandparents, the different things that they know about within the community. We're going to bring that aspect more into the financial literacy camps, because the way we were doing it just, like I said, they grasped the information, they understood the information, right? But we feel like we can make it more engaging for them, to where, like the past 2 years, it was more so the parents that were putting the students in the camp. We want to make it so that these students are like, I have to be.
That they want to go to it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming you've got some people that are working with you behind the scenes that are helping you put this together, which is great. So will you still have, I think last time you had some aspects of it where you were exposing the group that you were working with to different elements. Like I'm assuming you were exposing them to different, I don't know, you had like different tours or something like that. Is that something that you're going to still incorporate with this camp, or? Oh,
most definitely. So the different tours and everything like that, that wasn't a part of the curriculum that we were using. That the material was just that. So everything, like the business consultants that we brought in, the real estate investors that we brought in, the trip to the Federal Reserve, that was all core. That was my program. So that for sure will still be a core program, especially like the thing of taking them to the Federal Reserve, exposing them to those millions of dollars, letting them see it in front of their face. That's a big impact on a camp, and we want to continue that.
So that's huge. That part is huge. Again, a lot of people from our community, and again, this is my hometown, Flint. A lot of us, we're not exposed to that. We're not exposed to that. And like you said, you're bringing in people that work, you said, in real estate, I'm assuming, real estate, finance, other areas in finance that you're bringing in. So you're exposing them to other people that I'm assuming somewhat look like them or can at least relate to them. Is that what I'm getting out of your camp?
Yeah, man, we want to make it as relatable as possible. So the consultants and everyone that we bring in is someone that can relate to their circumstance, someone that's been in their footsteps, that can tell them, this is what I've done to be successful, and this is what you can do to become successful.
I love it. So let's talk about Slyvester a little bit. Like how, like all the professions and different things. How did you come up with finance? I know you mentioned that you started working and different things like that, but it sounds like you have a passion that goes beyond just finding a job and working. It sounds like this goes a little deeper than that. How did you get into this?
So man, I've always been Slyvester Finance guy. I mean, it sounded corny, but that's always been me as a child. When we played Monopoly, that's my dad's favorite board game. I was always.
Were you always the banker?
I had to. I would fight you as a kid to be the banker. But that's my job. I'm the banker.
Wow.
Once I turned 18, I got into the banking industry. That was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, when I started college initially, I started with mechanical engineering, which don't get me wrong, I loved it, and I think the money would have been great, but I didn't find the passion enough to feel like this is what I should be doing. So I switched my degree over to accounting. I loved it till I got an accounting 202, and I said, this is boring. No offense to no accountants out there, but it's just, it wasn't me. And I worked at the credit union, and I had got a promotion within the credit union to the wealth management department while I was still in accounting. So I said, I'm in wealth management.
Wait a minute. Pause. You don't look that young. How did you get into, you said the wealth management department?
Yeah, when I want to say 19, I started in wealth management. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I got the promotion. I studied my butt off for this interview. So they actually let me sit in with the current girl who had the position who was leaving.
Okay.
So when I was like, oh my God, like now it's over. This is my position. Like I was just asking her questions, and then that day I remember I went home and I just Googled and I studied everything about it, every single thing. So when I went to the interview, that was hands down the best interview of my life. I knew every single question that they asked me. I even had my calendar. I had my planner for school in there for organization. I laid it out, showed them everything, and I got the position. And I was so stunned because I was 19 years old, still in college with my own office. I made my own hours. Like it was I don't know. I can't really explain it. It was crazy.
That's awesome. And it shows your passion for it. And it shows, even how you went about your interview and how you studied for it. It shows a lot about you. But on the end, that also speaks volumes to, you as someone in finance, because they don't just let everybody in that area. Sometimes, they only like a select few people because they're dealing with, the high net worth individuals. And so that speaks a lot to what you brought. Now, me and you worked a little bit recently, and we did a little seminar, and you were talking a little bit, you was dropping some knowledge. You were talking about some ownership things, and there's 3 things that you were talking about. Can you elaborate on some things that that's a part of your discussion when you're talking to the youth and to adults, it sounds like?
Yeah, so for sure. So I think what you're referring to is the 3 pillars of wealth. And,
correct, yes.
Is 3 pillars of wealth are owning stock, owning a business, and owning real estate. And the 3 things that they have in common is ownership. So I just talked to the students and adults about just ownership. What is ownership? Why do you need ownership? And if I'm trying to teach you how to create wealth, you have to understand that you have to own something. You can't create wealth and you don't own anything. You have to own some type of property, and not like a property that you're living in that you're paying a mortgage on. You need property that you are renting out. You need property that you can do a fix and flip on, or you need to own stock. And with stock, it's a little bit difficult with stock too, because stocks, you can make money in stocks, but you have to have a little bit of money to make a lot of money in stocks. So I feel like stocks for my demographic is more so something that's going to help you build money in the long run. It's not something that you're going to put money in and just instantly see that money back. That's something that's going to build you some wealth over time, but you need to invest in something more so like the 3rd pillar of wealth, which is a business. Something that's going to make you money. And even with owning a business and opening a business, you're not going to make money right away. You have to build into it. But that's just what I'm trying to teach them, the core principles of how to make money, and where, not necessarily where to put your money, but how to invest your money and how to put your money into something that's going to give you a good return.
And that's also, especially like right now, what we're experiencing right now is ownership is huge, because a lot of us are finding ourselves, those of us that work a 9 to 5, we're at the liberty of those who employ us, right? And so if they decide, right now there's some decisions that they have to make, and if they make a decision to say, hey, we're going to cut you and let you go, and I'm not saying in any shape or form not working a 9 to 5, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying if that's your own source, the only source, you're at the liberty of those that that you listen to, right? Or those who employ you. But having ownership still provides you, whether it's owning a property, real estate, whether it's, like you said, stock, it still gives you some other avenue where you can still have streams of income. One of those you could be a main investor. The main thing could be as an investor, or main thing could be a real estate person. But the truth of the matter is having these other avenues. So now, are you a proponent to having multiple streams of income, or are you a person that says, one income is all you need?
No. Multiple streams of income. I cannot stress it enough. So I don't want you to go out there and start 20 businesses, because you're more likely going to fail. So when it comes to something like starting a business, I think if you're going to start a business, start with one and dominate your lane in that business, and try to find different avenues like real estate, like stocks, or like just investing in someone's company that you think or that you can see the potential in. So multiple streams of income for sure. One stream of income, they say the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So
do they?
Success leaves clues. Just follow success. That's all you have to do. They leave clues all the time.
That's awesome. So now you're down this entrepreneur role. How does it feel, and what advice do you give anybody else that's looking to launch out into entrepreneurship right now? And I'm not expecting you to know it all or anything of that nature, but you stepping out, and what advice would you give to others that may be thinking about entrepreneurship?
Oh man, so yeah, it's I'm gonna be honest with you, it's crazy, but it's a great feeling. So I just quit. Maybe it was March 9th was my last day.
So you
management job. So I'm still fresh. I'm still fresh in the game. And then when I quit, boom, the world just shut down. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I just quit my job, and now it kind of put me in that full force. Okay, you're an entrepreneur now. Figure it out. It don't matter what's going on. Now you have to figure it out. So just kind of going with it. Like it took a lot of guts to quit that job. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was in a great position with the company. That only position within the entire company. So to give it up, it was a huge sacrifice on my part, and I don't regret it. Sure. I don't regret it, and I'm gonna tell you why. I don't regret it because I feel free. I feel like I have the time, I have the energy to do what I need to do. So when I was working my 9 to 5, and I would get off at 5 or 6, whatever time,
and get to the other bit.
I was so tired. I was so burnt out, and I'm still trying to do it. So now it's like I wake up in the morning and I get straight to it, and I feel like my most positive energy, my most that the best time of the day, that 9 a.m. to 8 a.m., that 7 a.m., that 6 a.m., I have that time to actually put towards my business.
Towards your own business, yeah.
Exactly, yep.
That's awesome. And and I think it's interesting too, because, there's different philosophies, there's different thoughts, processes, and so forth. I think you have one of the greatest things on your side is you have, not saying that you have a lot of time, not trying to suggest that, but this is a time in your life where you can figure some of those things out. Would you say? I mean, a lot of individuals, they may wait to the last moment. They may wait to a pandemic like now, right? And say, hey, I'm going to start a business. But, all their career or all their life, they've been in a 9 to 5 where they haven't had a chance to figure things out. And maybe they have, a whole family depending on them, right? Would you recommend this for other younger entrepreneurs, or would you not recommend starting a business at this point?
Do it.
Okay.
Do it now. There's no better time, especially with me. I'm 23 now. I'll be 24, so I'm 23. Mm-hmm. I'm young. I have what I wanted in life. I have my house, my car is paid off. Like it was no better time in my life. I saw. I'm like, in the future, I'm gonna have kids. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have a bigger house with a larger mortgage, a nicer car with a larger payment on it. So It would be a lot more difficult for me to just say F it and then just go towards my dream. Besides right now in my life, me being 23, and it's now is the time. Especially if you are young, now is the time to do it. You have the rest of your life to work a 9 to 5 if entrepreneur life isn't for you. But you need to give yourself the chance. You need to know for yourself, and that's really why I left my position, because I've been running my business for the past 2 years, and it's like I feel like I don't have enough time for it. So It was like, if you're gonna do it, be serious about it. Stop playing and get it done. Just do it.
Now, I will definitely say that it's definitely for those that are serious. You can't step out and do entrepreneurship playing. What they say, playing, right? you definitely You got to be serious about it, and I think that's huge. But again, you just hit the head on the nail, and I think that's right. You have an opportunity to learn, and I would definitely stress that to any individual that's ready. Now, you got to have your product, you got to have whatever it is that you're creating. You got to have it ready and up and running. But this is a great time. I think now, I think there's a lot of stuff that's happening, even with this reevaluation. I call it reevaluation, a reset in the market right now with everything happening. Is a great time to possibly consider that or build that out. Would you say right now is a good time to do that? You know, there's recent people that are recently graduated from college right now, and the jobs may not be hiring at this moment. Would this be a good time to start at least planning it out or thinking it out?
It's the perfect time. We are under a stay-at-home order. You have nothing to do. You can't go anywhere. Stay at home. Don't go to your friend's house. Stay at home. Mm-hmm. Build your wealth. Build your future. You have nothing but time right now. Forget the TV show. Forget all those hot movies on Netflix and everything right now, because they're still gonna be there. Like in 10 years. 15 years, when you decided to miss out on that fun, to not watch those movies, and to actually put this time and energy into this business, be broke for this business, 10 to 15 years, when you are on top and you just have everything that you ever wanted, dreamed of, and needed, it's not an issue. And you're looking back at different people who were out partying, who were watching that Netflix show, and they don't have it, and they are trying to figure it out. You look at yourself like it's worth my time, because a lot of us, I feel like people my age, they look at fun. They're just like, yeah, I'm about to go party. They're not realizing that after their 20s, you can be a 30-year-old in the club and it ain't gonna be so hot.
It's not that sweet. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's awesome. That's awesome. So, you know, we're about to get out of here, but there's a couple more things that I wanted to talk to you about. What tips do you have for, sometimes as parents, we may have some questions about finance, and we may, like you just mentioned there, we may have missed the boat and we may not have done what we're supposed to do. But what should we be telling our youth right now? Like, what are some things that we should be telling our children, or what should we be telling our youth about finance? What could they be doing right now?
The biggest thing I would say is just share your financial status with your child. I mean, you don't have to go in debt and tell them I got this much money in the bank, I got my stocks. But show them, as you are paying your monthly bills, break that down to them. When you pay your consumers bills, show them, this is how much I owe consumers and this is how much I'm paying them. Sometimes some of us, we have paid consumers when I do it sometimes, so I'm a little bad. But consumers asking, I wait till they send you the shut off notice.
Yeah.
It's bad because I could just pay it off, but something, I know they're not gonna cut it off until they send me the notice.
Right.
So, it's kind of bad. I know. But different stuff like that, just show them. So if you're paying that consumers off every single month, show them how much that is. Show them that energy that light that you leaving on is drawing the bill up to this month. And then if a month passed by, they turn the lights off more and that bill decrease, show them the difference within that. Like, just show them the difference. You're saying bringing them along the journey with you, kind of sharing some of that, not necessarily giving them your whole paycheck and showing them everything that you got going on per se, but really kind of bringing them in and including them is what you recommend. Exactly. They need to see that, and they need to hear about different things like that. So when they get to college, they graduate college and they get a mortgage, or they get rent. They understand. They said, okay, moms did this, pops did this, so I know what to do because I watched them do it for so long. Instead of just hopping into it like, I don't know what's going on. What am I doing here? Right. What would you recommend, like, for some people that are starting to take their finance a little bit serious? Is there any resources that you could recommend, whether it's books, whether it's an app, what would you recommend that people maybe take a part of right now to try to kickstart their financial genius inside of them, I guess? So one book I would highly recommend is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So within Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Yeah, I got that right here. That's the book. That's the book I'm telling you. So Robert Kiyosaki, in the book, he teaches you the difference that Rich Dad taught him Poor Dad. And Poor Dad was his actual dad, and Rich Dad was his friend's dad. Mm-hmm. So he would listen to the different principles and things that his actual dad was telling him about getting a job, blah, 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 do this. And then he would go to his friend's house and listen to Rich Dad, who would tell him about ownership and things like that and what that could do for you. So he breaks down the difference within those households, which is honestly the same thing that we do within Grooming Young Millionaires Financial Literacy Camp. Oh, okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. Well, before we get out of here, is there anything else you got that you want to share with us, or ways that people can connect with you, or
or learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can connect with Fix My Finance on all social media platforms. So we got LinkedIn, we have Facebook, we have Instagram. Everything is fixed at Fix My Finance, and please stay tuned. Now we have because of everything that's going on. If everything does clear up by July, we will have an in-session camp. But if
Okay.
we'll be looking at more so online camp, and then during the school year, we'll be looking at bringing the camp to actual school districts so that we can continue with the education. So just stay tuned. And again, once we figure out everything that's going on with the world, we'll know more about if we'll have an in-session camp for the summer or not.
All right. And then also just, I know that's directed toward the youth. Do you have anything for us adults that want to fix our finance? Maybe it sounds like you suggest you could help me with my credit. No.
Yeah. So recently,
no, I'm just teasing. I just
no, we do. We have
really?
Yeah. So we recently switched over to a nonprofit. Well, we opened a nonprofit under Fix My Finance, but Fix My Finance LLC. We actually do credit restoration services.
Oh, really? Okay.
We do. So we are currently redoing all of our packages. So we have 2 new agents that'll be coming on so that we can kind of powerhouse this thing and help everyone adult-wise, because we noticed that with financial literacy, adults are more so amped to build their finances instead of
right.
So we try to help them learn about it while building their services through our credit services.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I just thought I was teasing because I love that title. I was just teasing, but okay. So you do have stuff for adults. So that's good to hear. So any of our listeners that are listening, they can find you that way and get some information. It sounds like that way.
Yeah, for sure. Across the board, Fix My Finance. So we do have a Twitter. Don't go to the Twitter. It's not active, okay?
But, man, you gotta get active with us older users, right? You don't want our business, huh?
You want to get in touch with us? Facebook is probably going to be your best music contact.
Facebook, okay. And you did mention Instagram too, right? Or no?
Yeah, we have Instagram. Okay. We have LinkedIn as well. So if you reach out to us on any social media platform, we'll reach back out. But majority of the time, the Facebook is monitored on an everyday basis.
Oh, perfect. All right, man. Man, I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did, man. I love talking about money a little bit here. And so what better way to do it, especially, again, from my hometown, Flint, doing this thing there. Like I said, best kept secret, but probably not after this, probably next year as this thing blows up more for the youth. I'm sure people will be hearing more and more about you. You're just in the beginning stage, even though there's great success, you're just in the beginning stages, and I see nothing but more success for you down the road. So thank you, man. And thank you for taking your time and being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, man. It's good to actually get on here and talk about the passion. Because like you said, man, I don't really get out and talk about it enough. So it's good to actually get on here and speak about it.
Awesome. Well, again, so those of you who are listening today, if it's your first time listening, we want you to go ahead and subscribe. Whether you're listening to us here on the podcast or whether you're watching us on YouTube, we want you to go ahead and continue to follow us. Probably over the next couple of episodes, we're going to continue this conversation about, in some shape or form, money or some type of way, talking about this, giving the tools that you need right now to handle the financial things that are taking place right now. So whether that's with employment or whether that's with finances, we plan on doing that for the next few weeks. But until the next time, thank you for tuning in to Behind the Grind.
Peace.